Good afternoon, friends. Happy temperatures, hot Thursday. Oh my goodness. It's supposed to be the hottest day today. I don't know, the hottest day of the week, hottest day of the month. I'm not really sure. But I'm in the Torrance area, so I'm not even up on the hill, so I can imagine what it must be like up there. Lucky for us, we have amazing neighbors who are 88 years old, have not swam in their pool in probably 20 years, but they clean it every day just for us so that we can go swim in it. So that's where I'll be, floating in my rainbow floaty, chilling out, literally chilling out to try to stay cool. So I hope that you have some fun things planned this afternoon to stay cool. Miss Nogdave's class, even though it's hot, don't forget to join us at 1 o'clock today for the social studies Zoom. Why are my glasses so crooked? It's a situation. Social studies Zoom. Please come prepared with your textbook, your Chapter 7 packet, and a pencil. We'll be going through the first lesson in the Gold Rush. Woo, free gold. And we also will be doing some Would You Rather. And I always pick people who are participating, positive attitude, to be able to answer my Would You Rather questions. So Ms. Nogdave, see you at 1 o'clock. And speaking of the Gold Rush, I have some interesting news. I have an itch on the end of my nose. That's weird. It looks weird when I itch my nose. Interesting news. Yours truly, Miss Cummins, was on the radio this morning. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Valentine in the Morning 104.3 FM. Marley and I love his morning show, especially when we were driving to school every morning. We'd always listen to his show. It's family friendly. So I follow him on Facebook, and 2 nights ago he posted, are there any local teachers who'd be willing to do like a 2-minute lesson for a segment on my show? Having zero idea what I was signing up for, I wrote back, sure, that sounds fun. Fast forward to the following morning, the executive producer of his show was texting me saying, would you be willing to do this? And I said, sure, what is it? And just kind of decided to go for it, having no idea what they wanted me to do. Turns out it was for a teacher appreciation. They were calling it a higher learning segment, where a teacher in the local area comes on and teaches something to the world for 2 minutes. So I told them we were doing Gold Rush, and they said, cool, let's do Gold Rush. So it was really fun. Let me tell you a little bit of magic that goes into filming or recording supposed to be a live morning show, but because of COVID-19, all of the radio hosts are in their own home and kind of like Zooming, but audio Zooming. So they're recording from home, and because that's a little logistically crazy and unpredictable, they're filming the morning show the night before, or taping the night before. So Valentine called me last night at 7 o'clock, which was funny to have Valentine be like, hi, Miss Cummins, this is Valentine in the morning. And we taped the whole segment from the comfiness of my couch, and Jill, his co-host, and Kevin, his other co-host, was in their homes, and we were just hanging out, having a fun conversation. I taught him about finding the first nugget of gold. So my class, we already learned about that. Miss Nogdave's, we're going to learn about this afternoon. I think it went pretty well. I actually had a lot of fun. So as soon as I find the link, it's posted on iHeartRadio podcast. Should be posted pretty shortly. As soon as I find the link in terms of listening to what went on, I will forward it to you all in case you want to hear. And I'll tell you where to start the audio replay, because I believe it's like almost near the end of the segment. So instead of listening to all hour and a half, I'll tell you where to start. So that was pretty exciting that I got to be a social studies geek on national radio. And it's been funny, all the texts and phone calls that have been coming in. They're like, were you on the radio this morning? I didn't really tell anybody. I was just kind of like, let's just do it. So that's my exciting news. I got to teach Greater Los Angeles about the Gold Rush in 2 minutes or less. All right. So speaking of the Gold Rush, we are going to continue with By the Great Hornspoon. And we have a short chapter today, but an important chapter. Because as you know, our last chapter was called Jamocha Jack. Our friend Jack he had to work really hard to earn his nickname of Jamocha Jack. Pitch Pine Billy made him the grossest, thickest cup of coffee, no sugar, no yumminess, no whipped cream, no chocolate chips. And he told him it would help him grow hair on his chest. And Jack did not like it at all, but he wanted to keep the name Jamocha Jack, so he somehow sludged it all down. So now he's Jamocha Jack. Praiseworthy doesn't have a nickname, but I guess that's the thing in the diggings is you have to earn certain nicknames. So Pitch Pine Billy, who knows what that came from? Pitch pine, I don't know, maybe a pine tree, pitched a tent by a pine tree, who knows? So it's a short chapter, but important one. And actually, this chapter is how I told you that there's a Disney movie that loosely follows this. It's called Bullwhip Griffin. And this is how they got the name for Bullwhip Griffin by the Great Hornspoon adapted movie. Some people like that they change things. Others, like me, meh, still an entertaining movie. So I haven't looked on Netflix or what else might it be? Netflix. What's the other things we can watch on? I don't know. Can't think right now, off the top of my head. We use Roku. I don't know. We'll see if we can see if Bullwhip Griffin is somewhere out there. It's a really old movie, so who knows? Maybe it's on Disney Plus. That'd be so cool. Okay, here we go. Stop talking, Miss Cummins. Start reading. All right, Bullwhip. Campfires along the river lit their way back to town. Carrying their shoes, the two partners were stuffed full of sow belly and beans. And between them, they were richer by a thimbleful of gold. Jack's feet ached from hours in the ice-cold mountain stream, but he was too elated to even care. His face was dirty, and his clothes were even dirtier. Praiseworthy's white shirt was splattered with mud. His umbrella was in complete tatters. "First thing tomorrow," said the butler, "we'll purchase some boots." "If we had a tent like Pitch Pine Billy," Jack said, "we wouldn't have to sleep out in that old hotel. We could stay right here by our claim." "We don't have a claim, Master Jack." "But we'll get one, won't we, Praiseworthy?" "Absolutely." "And a tent?" Why not?" "And a mule?" He said we need to have a mule or a burro to go prospecting. "A mountain canary for sure," Praiseworthy said. Jack tried to keep in step with his partner's long stride. "Pitch Pine Billy thinks you're my father, by the way." "I heard him, Master Jack." "I don't mind that." Praiseworthy pulled at his ear. When he gets an idea fixed in his head, he refuses to have it removed. "I tried often enough, but I don't think he meant any offense." "None at all," said Jack, looking up. He liked Praiseworthy. He liked him especially as they swung along together, both barefoot and one as mud-splattered as the other. Partners were the next best thing to being related, he thought. Actually, even better, maybe. A partner didn't take a hairbrush to you even when you needed it, but there were times when he wished he had a father, hairbrush and all. They walked along, and from somewhere in the trees and shadows, they could hear the wheeze of a miner's concertina. For days since the discovery of Aunt Arabella's picture in Praiseworthy's carpet bag, Jack had wondered about it. The moment had never seemed right to ask, but now the question just kind of tumbled out. "Does Aunt Arabella know that you have her picture along?" Praiseworthy shifted the pick to his other shoulder. "Oh, yes, that's right, the picture," he said quietly. "I'd been meaning to give it to you. I've had no right to it at all. No right at all." "It's only a picture. You can keep it." Jack shifted the shovel to his other shoulder. "Why doesn't Aunt Arabella have a husband?" "What?" "I mean, she's beautiful, isn't she?" Praiseworthy seemed positively embarrassed. "Now see here, Master Jack." "Jamocha Jack," Constance says Aunt Arabella was in love once, but he died, and women like that never get over it. They just get to be old maids. "Miss Constance should be spanked," Praiseworthy replied shortly, and then he changed the subject. "First thing in the morning, I must see about getting my gold pan mended." "I'll bet Aunt Arabella would marry you if you asked her." Praiseworthy stopped as if struck, and then he began to laugh. "Now that is nonsense, Master Jack. Stuff and nonsense. A woman like Miss Arabella marries a gentleman, not a butler. It simply isn't done. I wouldn't permit such a thing, not even for a moment. Why, your dear aunt would be laughed right out of Boston. Now let's hear no more of these fancies of yours. Come along." They resumed their stride, and Jack said no more, but Praiseworthy wasn't fooling him. No, sir, Praiseworthy hadn't carried off Aunt Arabella's picture. He would never do a thing like that. Nah, not Praiseworthy. Aunt Arabella had given him the picture, Jack thought. Yeah, and the more he thought about it, the more that actually pleased him. Soon the coal oil lights of Hangtown could be seen through the trees. Praiseworthy stopped to put on his shoes, but Jack just carried his. As they came along the street, the men who sat and whittled stopped whittling. The standing and talking men stopped talking, and the coming and going men stopped coming and going. Jack had a sudden feeling that everyone in town was staring at them. What was wrong? Were their heads on straight? And then a voice said, "There he is!" That's him, all right. Praiseworthy and Jack kept walking. They passed the assay office and the Cheap John auction store and the general merchandise. A cold feeling was creeping along Jack's neck. Maybe they're looking for someone to hang, he whispered. Unlikely at this time of night, said Praiseworthy, but he was concerned. The men seemed to be smiling, and in Hangtown, that could be a very bad sign. When they reached the Empire Hotel, the porch loungers gazed at them in kind of awe, and a mutter of voices arose. He knocked that outlaw 17 feet, uphill. 19 feet, that's the way it was told to me. 19 feet and 11 inches. They measured it. Praiseworthy stopped in the doorway. He looked at Jack, who broke into a muddy smile, as if they had been saved from the limb of a tree. And then the butler turned, peering at the whiskered faces grinning in the yellow light from the hotel. A miner shifted the lump of chewing tobacco in his mouth and said, "Stranger, you must have a fighting arm like the butt end of a bullwhip. Pleased to have you in our town." "Pleased to be here," Praiseworthy said, lowering the pick from his shoulder. "But under no false colors. Gentlemen, allow me to explain." "Hey, bullwhip, where are you and the youngin' from?" "Boston, sir. But, gentlemen, our good friend and traveling companion, Mr. Jonas T. Fletcher, appears to have spread a grossly exaggerated account of what happened. You see—" "Hold on. You calling him a liar?" Well, no, but, well, did you knock that guy uphill? Did you knock that guy, Agent, uphill or not?" "Yes, but—" The miners began to chuckle, and chewing tobacco went squirting in all directions. They had taken an immediate fancy to Praiseworthy, and one by one they picked up the nickname. "How long you staying, bullwhip?" Praiseworthy shouldered the pick. He gave up trying to explain. It seemed to him that every man in the diggings became hard of hearing when he wanted to, and he'd had enough of that for one day. If they preferred a tall tale to the facts, well, then let them have it. "Bullwhip, you was there. Exactly how far was it?" Praiseworthy gave Jack a passing wink. As long as the citizens of Hangtown were determined to hang a reputation on him, it might as well be the best. "Gents," he said, "from where I was standing, it looked like 23 feet at least." A miner swallowed his cud of tobacco. "Oh, be joyful," he uttered. "Come along, Jamocha Jack," said Praiseworthy, turning into the hotel. Jack felt a brand new smile reach across his face. "Yes, sir, bullwhip," he said. So that chapter I like for many reasons. Sorry, my husband decided to walk out in the middle of that. Mr. Cummins. A couple of things I like about that chapter. One, I love that Jack brought up the whole issue of why does Praiseworthy have a picture of Aunt Arabella in his bag? It's a little suspicious since he didn't show it to him, or he didn't say like, "Oh, I brought this in case, you get homesick." And he seems to get a little ruffled every time you talk about Aunt Arabella. Praiseworthy, who's normally calm and collected, gets a little, ugh. So he kind of addresses that. Doesn't really get much of an answer. He says, "Oh, I brought it for you, but I forgot to give it to you." Could be true, could not be true. Secondly, I love how this illustrates how a rumor gets started. So Jonas T. Fletcher took the story of them getting into that fight with the bandits, obviously grossly exaggerated the story. He also doesn't know that Praiseworthy has gold in the end of his glove. That's why his punch went so far. So by the time the story went from one person to the next person, the story kept getting more and more exaggerated. It was uphill, and it was 20 feet, and it was 25 feet, and this and that. So I like how that illustrates how you can tell something to one person, and by the time it makes its rounds, the story can be dramatically different. Now, in this instance, it ended up being positive for Praiseworthy. They were making him look good, better. But Praiseworthy is a man of honor, and he doesn't like the fact that everyone's calling him Bullwhip for a name that he didn't really earn. But he keeps trying to explain to them, but they are refusing to hear what the real story is. So finally he just says, "Forget it. Bullwhip it is," right? And I think Jack likes it anyway. It sounds pretty cool to be partners in crime. Also, you can see Jack kind of keeps pushing. He likes it when people think that Praiseworthy is his dad. And every time he brings it up, Praiseworthy's like, "Absolutely not. You're Master Jack." And he's like, "I just want to be partners. I want to be like, we don't have to be so formal." But Praiseworthy, kind of maintains that distance. So, I think Jack will keep trying. I don't know if Praiseworthy is going to fall for it, but that's kind of how we are. All right, so they are in the process. It looks like they want to get a tent. They want to get a burrow. They've learned how to look for gold. Now they actually have to start looking for it. Jack wants to get out of the Empire Hotel so they can be like a real gold miner and be out by their claim. So our next chapter is called, it's funny, called A Bushel of Neckties, which what the heck do neckties have to do with being out looking for gold? That's like the last thing you need, but it's a funny chapter. Again, lots of misunderstandings happen, and somehow neckties enter into the story. So tomorrow we will continue with A Bushel of Neckties. And with that, I'm going to be signing off. Check your emails later. I will send the link to the Valentine in the Morning 104.3 podcast recording in case you want to hear the Gold Rush segment. I think it turned out pretty good. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Have a wonderful day, Miss Nagday's class. See you at 1:00. Bye.